Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Southern Fried Podcast, a production of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. I'm Rex Nelson, senior editor of the Democrat Gazette, and we are honored to have the mayor of the city of Little Rock, Mayor Frank Scott Jr. Mayor, thank you for joining us today. I know you're busy. Appreciate your time.
It is indeed a pleasure to be with you, Rex. Thank you.
You know, I'll start at the top. The biggest news story, obviously, in recent months is the tornado that occurred at the end of March, the worst storm to hit Little Rock in many, many years. As we look back now, a couple of months later, how's the recovery going in the city?
First, as you shared, this has been something that we experienced that was unthinkable. The capacity and the devastation of the high-end F3 tornado that hit Arkansas State Capital City alongside the city of Wynne on March 31st. It's a day I'll never forget. Where close to 3,000 structures were impacted across the western portion, the entryway to the western portion of the city of Little Rock. And to see that no one died is a true demonstration of God's grace and mercy. It happened around 2:30. I think, if it would have happened around 5 o'clock in Little Rock, it would have been, some fatality.
Yeah, or the middle of the night when people were in their bed, God forbid.
Yeah. So it's, like I said, I'll never forget that day. I was, one of those individuals that was out doing a site visit out in West Little Rock. Happened to be, and the clouds were getting dark, but sometimes I'm just moving, not paying attention to the weather, and got a call say, hey, you may want to get back to City Hall. And shortly after getting back to City Hall, after doing the site visit, actually in West Little Rock, it hit. And after leaving kind of City Hall's kind of bunker that we have, went straight to our incident command center that ultimately turned out to be the Family Assistance Center at Emmanuel Baptist Church.
Right.
And so therein lied, you saw this great resiliency of the city of Little Rock and unity, and everyone aligned just to help their neighbor. And that's what you saw. And I couldn't be more proud of the city and how we responded from a city perspective, but also just from a resident perspective. All the love and demonstration of love in a very action-oriented way was demonstrated, and we were able to get a lot of things going. We've moved from emergency response to recovery and rebuilding. We have a deadline on June 25th to where we will be the final day of utilizing our private contractor, where we're getting about 100% FEMA reimbursement up until May 13th. Everything after that has been 75%. The city's going to spend close to $10 million. And so we're going to do this final swell swoop of debris across the city with our private contractor. And then therein lies the next stage of moving from emergency response to recovery to rebuilding.
Yeah. And, I'm one, as you know, that tries to be an optimist, always looks for a silver lining. Main silver lining, you have already mentioned it was that we did not have any fatalities. But the other thing we're going to see going forward, because these are neighborhoods that are prime locations. They will be rebuilt as insurance comes in and all. The economy's already doing well, but we're going to see a building boom in Little Rock over the next 3 to 5 years, are we not? I bet you're already seeing it in construction permits being pulled.
One of the things that earlier this year, Little Rock was highlighted as one of the fastest growing cities for home sales. And so from a national realty organization. So I'm excited about that. But I will say I'm going to share excitement but balance with concern. As you know, that particular area of West Little Rock, that was the last, I dare say, affordable housing area of West Little Rock.
That's a good point. As prices have gone so high further west.
And so you got these families that were in Colony West, Kingwood, Shackleford area. When you think of that, many of those families, you have individuals who may be retired and have a dedicated income. Their home is already paid for or almost paid for.
Been in those homes since the 70s when they were built, a lot of them,
And so now you get the insurance check But the average house now in West Little Rock is $375,000.
Gee.
And so if you don't, there's going to be this gap. And so that's a focus that we're very focused on as affordable house, because there will be a building boom, but we want to make certain that
it's affordable.
It's affordable.
That makes perfect sense for me. You know, your first term, obviously, no choice of yours was dominated by a worldwide pandemic, and now we see this in the first year of your second term. I have to ask, after a particular long day, do you ever find yourself asking, why did I sign up for this?
No. You know, I'm a man of faith, and I'll kind of give this joke from time to time. In a matter of 4 years and 6 months now, we've experienced a worldwide pandemic, a 500-year flood, 2 historic snowstorms, now a high-end F3 tornado. I'm just waiting for locusts to come.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When I hear the sound outside, I'll know they're flying in at this point. But generally, again, I know I'm, haven't walked all those neighborhoods and talked to everybody, but the best I can tell, I heard generally very good reviews for all of our first responders, Little Rock Police Department, Little Rock Fire Department, EMS. Seems like we had a very good response for something that severe, that big, that broad.
I agree. And again, we give a big ups to our Little Rock Police Department, Fire Department, our Public Works Department, our Emergency Management Team, all of the City of Little Rock employees. And, while we kind of say in jest about those disasters that we've had to navigate and lead through, we've become experienced at it. And so we know how literally, it was the grit and the grind of our LRPD to stand up literally within minutes, stand up an incident command center at Emmanuel Baptist Church. Literally just a phone call, but it also speaks to the community service, community partners that we have, that we can pick up a phone and say, hey, you got a prime location. We need to take care of our people. Can we use it? And it morphed into then a family assistance center that no one's ever seen before. And it was running like a, Fortune 500 company, for 3 or 4 weeks. And so we give that great praise to our team. Many times you have to meet the moment, and our team exceeded it. And so we give them all the great praise for that, but also to my colleagues on the city board who really gave myself and others grace to lead and to make some decisions that we needed to make on very swiftly. And again, it just takes a team effort.
Let's move on to some other issues. This is one that has hung heavily long before you became mayor over mayors of our state's largest city for many years, and that is crime, with Little Rock often showing up very high on national rates of murder, violent crime, so forth. It's going to be a discussion every time we have a mayor's campaign, as we saw last fall in your campaign, Mayor. How are we doing in that area right now?
Well, we're doing great. And when I say that, and you may seem shocked, and the reason why I say we're doing great is because I look at the numbers. When you look at the numbers, we're doing great at public safety, but that doesn't mean we can't do much more. And so I say that very balanced. And
understood.
The numbers say we're doing great, but also I know there's a perception that the city may be unsafe in certain areas of the city. I get that. I hear that. I understand that. And that's the reason why we work hard at it. I think I recently hired at the end of December, after we got reelected in December, hired a new chief of police, the first ever chief of police to literally come through the ranks of the Little Rock Police Department, promotion after promotion, to then become the chief of police. And so what we've seen with that decision is great police morale from both the Fraternal Order Police as well as the Black Police Officers Association.
Yeah, who were divided before. It seems like it to me. So morale is up.
Morale is up. He's working to unite those two associations, which is in line with our internal why to unite, grow, and transform the city. So Chief Heath Helton has been doing a great job to build up morale. But secondly, it has to be more than just morale. What we've done and continue to do is to be a leader in paying our police officers. And so in this most recent budget, we gave every police officer a 7.9% raise. And if you have been with the police department 15 years, you got an additional 2.5% raise. And so we are the highest paid police department, particularly if you give or take, because there's been a lot of, it's almost like an arms race now as it relates to police recruitment. At that point in time, we were the highest paid, and we know for sure we're the highest paid overall. After 2 or 3 years, we have officers that are making $65,000. And as you know, one of the things that we led to really close and reduce the number of vacancies that we had. At one point, we had upwards of about 100 vacancies.
Right.
Today, we have about 80. And then we got a class of 24 coming online in August. And so literally by the end of this fall, we'll have gone from 100 to 50, cut it in half. And a lot of that goes into the historic raises that we were able to give, $10,000 sign-on bonuses if you're a new officer going through a recruit class. And then if you're a new officer and you decide to move from another city to Little Rock, you get another $5,000. And so that's been very helpful as we reduce the vacancy rates at historic levels. So that's number one. Number two, the reason why I say we're in a very positive direction in public safety is we've employed a number of different community impact strategies and what we call a holistic approach. And with this holistic approach is that we're not only focusing on targeted patrols, we're not only focused on what we call dosing, and that's being utilizing data on where we patrol, but also how do we focus on prevention, intervention, and treatment so we prevent the crime from even happening in the first place by focusing on a number of different areas. With that being said, today, violent crime is a negative 7%. With that being said, today,
That's year over year?
Yes, year over year, negative 7%. Overall crime is a negative 6%. But I go a step further because everyone, as you know in the media, it bleeds, it leads, right? Right now, today, we have 20 homicides. This time last year, we had 40.
Wow.
50% decrease. And that's because of our holistic approach of focusing on targeted patrols, dosing strategies on how we patrol, prevention, intervention, treatment, great morale, great salaries, leadership. And this multi-pronged approach has brought us to this point today. And so that's why I said great. But even though in that same vein, that same breath, there's still more work to do because there's still a perception of crime. And so we want to make certain that we cure that perception of crime because a safe city, a secure city is a prosperous city. And you've seen all the historic numbers of how we've been doing economic development. If we've been able to do close to 10,000 jobs in 4.5 years in the middle of a pandemic, tornado, snowstorms, floods, what do you think we can do if we cure the perception of crime? We're already at the cusp of as I often share, Little Rock is becoming the catalyst of the New South and how we focus on quality and life in place. And so, but it takes public safety being paramount, which it is, and that's what we're doing together.
Back to that recruiting officers, I have written, as you know, quite a bit about that issue and the need to fill those vacancies. But to be fair, I understand that's a nationwide issue. It's hard to find people that want to be policemen these days. It
is, and that's why I implore to each resident is to show appreciation to the men and women of Little Rock Police Department. I wake up every day praying for their safety because they could not come home, and they're waking up every day to make certain that you and I come home. But it's a nationwide issue, as you stated, but just because it's a nationwide issue doesn't mean that we're not going to figure out every which way to close those gaps, which we have. And we're going to continue to put every dollar available to get it done.
I'm going to move to the neighborhood we're taping in right now, which is downtown. We're in the Democrat Gazette building at the corner of Capitol and Scott, and then talking about my past columns. As you also know, I'm a huge advocate of downtown revitalization. I think any city is only as strong as its heart, and then the heart is downtown. We've had the fabulous opening of the Museum of Fine Arts. Forbes described it as the most accessible museum in America, for instance.
Accessible and inclusive.
Inclusive, yeah, absolutely. priceless national publicity.
Now, Rick, I tell many people, when I say, hey, going to the Arkansas Museum of Fine Art is the most expensive cheap date in the city.
There you go. There you go. And so we've seen that happen. We've seen a lot happen, but we get back again to that perception. And our newspaper ran a story, as you know, on certain businesses going out of business in the river market. And I know there is a perception that on a part of a lot of people, a lot of whom are out in the state, that downtown is not a safe place. So I want to start there before we get off of the crime issue. One thing that is coming, you worked for some extra money from the city. You went over to the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and our ambassador program is going to be up and running again. I know within a couple of months, Gabe Holstrom told me when I talked to him. And those are people who walk the streets and basically can contact the Little Rock Police Department if it's needed. They look for graffiti. I mean, they walk people to their cars on. And I think that will be huge for downtown.
No, I agree. I want to give a shout out. While we did lead and work to get some funding from Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau, I think you know I'm one of the commissioners there. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to have a balanced approach on how we fund it. I also want to just take time to give credit to the Downtown Little Rock Partnership and their advocacy and sharing the why as we want to continue to grow and transform our city. And it starts right in downtown. Downtown is everybody's neighborhood. We want to make certain that we're being very, very inclusive to everyone. But also we got to make certain our area is safe. And I would say from a statistic standpoint, crime is down in downtown Little Rock. But just because crime is down on the stats, there's still a feeling.
Mm-hmm. There is.
It's an intangible. And so one of the best ways to address perception and intangibles is to make certain that you're doing something. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that in consultation with Gabe Holstrom and many others, I want to also give, another great leader in this movement for the ambassadors was City Director Joan Adcock. Mm-hmm. And countless others who played a role, but clearly we made the proposal, but I also want to make sure that we give credit to other folks who played instrumental roles in this process. And so we're glad to have $500,000, $250 that's coming from Little Rock Convention Visitors Bureau, $250 from the city's budget. We'll have close to 10 ambassadors. They'll be led by a company that we're in the current stages of doing contracting with. I hope, it's my goal, that at least sometime right after Labor Day, you'll mm-hmm. see our ambassadors doing what ambassadors do, not only providing public safety, but also public engagement to help tourists understand where things are, what they need to be doing, things of that nature, to answer questions, to be that open door of customer service in downtown Little Rock. And I believe that's going to play a pivotal role in how we address the perception.
Move on to yet another issue, and that is that you have floated out that you think that the time will soon be ripe for another sales tax issue that we can put before the voters of Little Rock. Where do we stand on that?
Before we get to that, but I also want to make certain that I address, in addition to what we've done with the Downtown Ambassadors Program, mm-hmm. something I know you know about is, unfortunately, our city, the state's capital city, hasn't had a true vision master plan for downtown.
Good point.
And so we led identified funding, working in concert with our partners at Downtown Little Rock Partnership to put close to $1 million to focus on a downtown master plan. We've selected a company. It's going before the city board this coming Tuesday, where we're going to contract with a national organization that's going to work with some local stakeholders to ensure that we write the vision and truly see where we want to take our present downtown for the future. Mm-hmm. And so we're really excited about that. And we were able to I want to also give a shout out to the federal government. We've been able to do some pretty unique things the past year and a half with the uses of the American Rescue Plan Act dollars. And so we've taken now $1.5 million of our allotment to fund this. And so we're really excited about this downtown master plan. So going back to what you just shared, I want to make sure we don't gloss over this.
Gotcha.
A lot of great things are going on downtown. Mm-hmm. We're spending $1 million on a downtown master plan. It's going into play this summer. We're spending $500,000 on downtown ambassador programs. It's going to help the perception of safety starting this summer. What we haven't mentioned is the Capitol Avenue Revitalization Committee that I started in 2022.
And we're sitting on Capitol Avenue
right now. And so I think I may even shared a note with you last week. And part of that committee, we're going to be addressing the lighting on Capitol Avenue here this summer. We're going to be addressing, people may not think it's something to tout, but we're going to be addressing the trash cans and Capitol Avenue and really kind of create this more coordination within the corridor of one of our most heralded streets in the state is Capitol Avenue. And so we got a lot of great things happening here in downtown Little Rock, and that's because of leadership. That's because of also the leadership of my colleagues on the city council to make certain we're putting more blood into the heart and soul of our city.
We'll be back with more of the Southern Fried Podcast, but first, this break. Hi, Rex Nelson here. Thanks for listening so far. A lot of the topics we cover here on the Southern Fried Podcast and many more can be found on the pages of the Democrat Gazette. If you'd like to support this great newspaper's commitment to bringing you the latest in Arkansas news, sports, and entertainment, consider subscribing to the Democrat Gazette today. With your subscription, you'll get a digital edition of the newspaper every morning, along with the latest news and updates delivered to you on an iPad provided at no extra cost. You'll also get the same award-winning journalism you've come to expect from the Democrat Gazette, including my 3 weekly columns, plus exclusive photo galleries, videos, articles, and digital extras, all in the palm of your hand. As a bonus, we're offering a limited time deal to our podcast listeners. To take advantage of this exclusive offer, click the link in the description or go to arkansasonline.com/podcast23. Welcome back to the Southern Fried Podcast, a production of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. All right, let's get back to sales tax.
You don't want to keep talking about downtown?
I'm not going to let you off the hook on talking taxes. Talk about the need for it, what it would be if it did come about.
Sure, I think it's no secret that in my first term, one thing that I'm not afraid or unapologetic of being accused of is being accused of being too bold. I have that much expectation for the state's capital city. And so clearly we ran a campaign famously known as Rebuild the Rock in the middle of a pandemic. We lost handedly. Learned a lot of lessons from that loss. I'm a big, Henry Ford says failure, I think it's gives you the opportunity to rethink more intelligently. And so we've learned some lessons, and we're putting pen to pad on a Little Rock Forward sales tax initiative. That's just kind of what we shared in the state of the city. It may not be that name, but we're spending a lot of time ensuring that we have buy-in from the City of Little Rock Board of Directors as we move forward on this sales tax initiative that I know they all believe we need it. The question is, what's in it? And so part of this package, I'm all in, again, internal-wise, to unite, grow, and transform the city. And you grow, transform, and unite the city by focusing on quality and life and place. And so, we have a city where the average age is 36 years old. But we also know that we have a growing number of seasoned brothers and sisters that are moving to the city.
Right.
And so there's a great nexus between my generation being the millennial generation, those coming behind me, Generation Z, as well as Generation X, where the nexus with our seasoned brothers and sisters. Everybody's, millennials and behind, we choose where we want to live first, then we figure out our career. Our seasoned brothers and sisters who have disposable income, they choose where they want to retire based on quality of life and place amenities. And so that's that great strategic nexus that we have. And so that's how we can all move on one accord on this initiative, but we got to make the investments. And so broad picture of the Little Rock Forward initiative that could be changed name, something else.
Understood.
Is really 4 Ps. And the 4 Ps from a broad perspective includes an intense focus on parks and recreation, What does that mean? We got to take care of what we already have. 63 parks. We got to continue to pour more money into the maintenance of those 63 existing parks. In addition to that, I think there's no secret, a passion of mine is to reimagine and revitalize War Memorial Park. And so we want to make War Memorial Park our central park.
Right. Should be.
We also want to include a multi-use youth sports complex, indoor and outdoor, volleyball, basketball, baseball, softball, indoor pickleball. All of that would be included in War Memorial Park, in addition to more trails, more enhancements to anchoring tenants of the War Memorial Park. So that's number one. Number two would be Hyman Park, to continue to put more investment in Hyman Park for mountain biking trails and things of that nature. So that's the first P. Second P, public safety. We want to put more money into our real-time crime center, which we've recently stood up. We want to take this time. If you're a business owner and you have cameras, please. I think you've been already.
I was going to say, as you know, I toured it. I had an accident that's got me behind right now, but I've still got a column coming.
I'm waiting on it.
So you know, so it's coming still. Coming. I was very impressed. I'll be honest.
I will tell you, and for those who don't know what the real-time
state of the art,
it's a CSI. It's our version of CSI, and we need you to get more cameras locked into that. So more money for public safety for our real-time crime center, fire apparatus, things of that nature. Thirdly, the third P would be port and economic development. We know the port has been a crown jewel in our historic jobs growth that we've seen over the past 4.5 years, close to 10,000 jobs. And we got to continue to grow the port, grow that land so we can get more companies to come into the city. Of course, other portions of economic development. And so as we talk about in the port, we talk about parks and public safety, we have to focus on public works. And that's streets, that's drainage, that's neighborhood streets. And just to keep it plain, quality of life in place is also two things, clean and safe. And so that is going to be the goal of this Little Rock Forward, to really position us for the future.
Any idea on a timetable?
Again, I want to visit with each member of the board. I would hope to try to get something accomplished this year, if not first quarter of next year. But we're meeting with each board member, sharing this broad concept, want to get what they want included into it, get their thoughts, and then we hope to present a proposal very soon.
Back to the port again before we finish up, because again, as you know from my past writings, I'm a huge fan of Brian Day, the job he and his staff have done out there, and have written some may not be aware, but there's a aerial navigation aid called a VOR that has to be moved to open up what's known as a super site. That is happening now. And also
let's give credit, in addition to Brian and the port commissioners, we got to give credit to U.S. Senator John Bozeman and Congressman French Hill. This has been a journey.
Yeah,
we were working on this when I was on the port commission.
I remember when you were on that commission. But that is happening now, and what that's going to do is open up what is known as a super site, and given the transportation assets, the fact you have the river transportation, the fact you have a national airport, you have major interstates coming together right there, and Class 1 railroad all right there.
4 R's.
Yeah.
River, rail, road, and runway.
There you go. There you go. I'm just, again, optimistic there. I think that is going to locate something big. I don't know if we're talking an electric vehicle manufacturing facility, a battery manufacturing facility, but it's once you get that moved and that 1,000 acres open up, seems to me it's too good a site not to land something big.
It'll be a game changer for our city. I think it's something that we may not even be expecting yet, but it could be a possible Tesla plant. It could be a chips manufacturer. You never know.
They are already, Brian has told me, there at the port, Amazon alone is employing about 3,000 people out there. They are already drawing employees from 35 counties. Almost half of the state drive in there to work every day. how do you get those people? I mean, economic development is great in and of itself. And I know you have wrestled with this and talked about it. How do you get those people to live in the city of Little Rock rather than driving an hour to work every day?
Sure. I think we have to continue to focus on quality of life and place. I think, this Little Rock Forward initiative makes that happen. I think our strategic work with the Little Rock School District and our community schools model, as alongside the Chamber's work with Forward NGL, I think those two critical components of public-private partnerships to forward education in our city, that's what gets more people to move to our city, in addition to having job opportunity, but also affordable housing. Affordable housing is a key component. There's a lot of people, that if they didn't have to drive an hour and they can find an affordable home in Little Rock, they would move in Little Rock. And so it's that quilt of solutions on what we're working on, whether it's education, affordable housing, clearly perception of public safety. We have to continue to focus on that, but economic development. But we're excited, that 35 counties are coming. And because we want their sales tax dollars.
Good point.
We want it. But then also I think it's a policy imperative that the port considers, and I think they are working at this, because just because you got the 35,000, we also have to consider those working families and how do you make things easier for them to be more productive? Great example.
Yeah, I'm just about to ask that. I mean, I look at all those people working out there. Do we have the child care? Do we have the restaurants? It doesn't seem like there's much out there for people to go to lunch, on and on, all of those things.
And so I think, credit to Brian Day and the port commissioners. They're being very forward thinking. They're seeing what UMS has done. UMS is a large employer in the state, large employer in the city of Little Rock, but they still have a lot of individuals who live outside of the city. And so one of the things and it's to their benefit too, because drive time, and if you're late, creates unproductive time. And so one of the things that you've seen is UAMS has now worked with the city of Little Rock to develop south of Memorial Park is a child development center, which is going to be across the street from the Hillary Rodham Clinton Library. And so don't be surprised to see the port build a child development center for the port. So those families that are traveling to Little Rock can also have child care there. And then also, as you shared, with close to 3,000, and not including Amazon's 3,000, the other 3,000 employees, there's opportunity for more restaurants in that particular area to kind of create a nice, cool vibe.
As we wrap up, I knew this would go fast, and again, I thank you for your time. Last question. I'm going to let you pull out your crystal ball. Let's go ahead 3 years. You're nearing the end of your second term in 3 years. What exciting, positive things will have happened in Little Rock over that 3-year period? What do you think's coming?
Wow. I would say, one, we'll see a fully developed, particular areas that have been impacted by a tornado, back, vibrant, just lots of excitement. That's number one. Two, I see us, at this day and age, we're at now 10,000 jobs. I see us being at somewhere between 20 and 25,000. The Chamber and our other economic development partners and I got a lot of things cooking. I see us, continue to be a leader, not only the fastest home growth, home sales, not only in population. I see us, literally not just the next 3 years. I see us being somewhere around 225,000 people here in the city of Little Rock. I see us being a more sustainable city. We're working a lot on sustainable policies here in the city of Little Rock to take us to the next level, because we do believe that climate change is real and we got to focus on that. I see us having the sales tax passed. I see War Memorial Park being a central park with the youth sports complex. I see Hyman Park being a reimagined park for the entire city. I see just so much growth and transformation. Again, it goes back to the internal why is we are a more united city now. I see us to be a even more united city, but a growing city, a transforming city, and truly a catalyst for the New South.
Mayor Frank Scott Jr. Mayor, thank you for joining us. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. You've been listening to the Southern Fried Podcast, a production of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette.